Hey there, this is the Chapter 4 test review in Advanced Math or Pre-Calc, and I'm just going to quickly go through question 3 and question 9. So this says find the value of each trigonomic expression. So I am finding cosine of angle 0, cotangent of angle 3 pi over 2, secant of angle 5 pi over 3. So these are your unit circle questions. So I'm going to try to answer these questions with one unit circle. So the first one is, what is the cosine when the angle is 0? So if the angle is 0, I'm right here. I haven't really created an angle. And this coordinate point is 1, 0. And remember, on the unit circle, the x and y, the x corresponds to cosine and the y corresponds to sine. So the cosine of angle 0 is 1 because x is 1 and x is the cosine. Okay, cotangent of 3 pi over 2. So this is if I'm dividing into pi over 2 sections. So this is 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2 is right down here at the bottom. And that coordinate point is over 0, down, -1. So the cotangent, you have to remember, tangent is equal to sine over cosine. Cotangent is the reciprocal, so cotangent is cosine over sine. So the cosine of 3 pi over 2 is 0, and the sine of 3 pi over 2 is -1. 0 divided by -1 is 0, so cotangent of 3 pi over 2 is 0. All right, let's look at this one. Secant of 5 pi over 3. Now when you have an over 3, multiply top and bottom by 2 to get you an over 6. Because when we were dividing up the unit circle and counting around, we counted by 6s or by 4s. This is by 3, so we want to turn it into an over 6. So these angles, 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 8 pi over 6, 9 pi over 6, 10 pi over 6 is right there. 10 pi over 6 is the same as 5 pi over 3. Now the coordinates of that point are 1/2, comma, square root of 3 over 2. So the cosine is 1/2. I'm going to write these coordinate points right down here. So the cosine is 1/2. The sine is square root of 3 over 2. Secant is the same as 1 over cosine. So what I want to do is take the cosine and take the reciprocal of it. So the reciprocal of cosine gets me secant. So if I take cosine and take the reciprocal, I get 2 over 1. So secant of 5 pi over 3 is 2. All right, I'll do one more, cotangent. Okay, so this is, again, an over 3. So multiply top and bottom by 2 to turn it into an over 6. And this is more than one way around the unit circle because 6 goes into 14 more than 2 times. So you have a couple of options here. You could subtract 2 pi from this angle, and you would get 7 pi over 3 minus 2 pi. Get a common denominator, which would be 3. So multiply top and bottom here by 3. So I'd end up with 3 on the bottom and 6 on the top. So if I subtract, I get pi over 3. So I could use pi over 3, or you could count 14 times around and you'd end up at the same place. So it's up to you. If I count, and again I'm counting the pi over 6's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So this is the angle I'm interested in right here. That is pi over 3. So the coordinates on that point are 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. Again, cotangent is cosine divided by sine. So if I'm dividing cosine by sine, I'm going to end up dividing two fractions. So what I want to do is keep the first fraction, cosine, divided by, change it to multiplication, sine, flip the second fraction. So keep, change, flip. So if I flip this fraction, I would have 2 over the square root of 3. So 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, that gets me 1. I end up with 1 over the square root of 3. And then I need to rationalize that denominator. And so I multiply top and bottom by square root of 3. Multiply your numerators, square root of 3 on the top. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is plain old 3. So this is square root of 3 over 3. Okay? Now, in contrast to that is problem number 9. So problem number 9, you're finding the angle. So whenever it's arc cosine or cosine to the inverse, they're giving you the cosine and they're asking you to find the angle. So the cosine of some angle is -1/2. What is that angle? The cosine of some angle is -2. What is that angle? The cosine of some angle is square root of 3 over 2. What is that angle? So let's look at a couple of these. So cosine on the unit circle is x. So what I want to think is, where are the coordinate points that have an x value that is 1/2? So these 4 coordinate points all start with square root of 3 over 2 and then 1/2. So that y is the 1/2. So it's going to be one of these 4 coordinate points because they all start with 1/2. So cosine is 1/2. And sine is square root of 3 over 2. Now, we need to remember whenever we're doing inverse angles, we have those certain quadrants that we're limited to. So for cosine, we're limited to the top half of the unit circle, or quadrants 1 and 2. So if I want a negative cosine, this is a positive cosine. This coordinate point right here is over to the left, so the x is negative, and then up. So this is the angle that has a cosine of -1/2. And that angle is, this is 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6. This angle is 4 pi over 6, which simplifies into 2 pi over 3. So the angle is 2 pi over 3. This one is not possible because there is no x value on the unit circle that is -2. So this is not possible. All right, we'll look at this one. These are your trickiest ones, the tan and cotan. So I'm looking for a tan that is square root of 3 over 3, and remind yourself that tangent comes from sine over cosine. So I can't just look for this number on the unit circle because this value comes after I divide sine and cosine. But I do know it's going to be one of these type of points, the square root of 3 over 2 comma 1/2, or 1/2 comma square root of 3 over 2. Tangent has to be in these 2 quadrants. So this is the only quadrant where tangent is positive. So I know I'm going to be in quadrant 1. So it's either one of these 2 points. So you kind of have to think which one, when I divide sine by cosine, will get me this. So you just try one. So I'm going to try this. So sine is 1/2. divided by cosine, so I'm going to do the change to multiplication and flip. So I'm going to get 2 over the square root of 3. So 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, those divide to give me 1, and I'm left with 1 over the square root of 3. But when I rationalize this, when I multiply top and bottom by the square root of 3, I get square root of 3 over 3. So that matches. So the angle here is this angle, which is 1 pi over 6, or pi over 6. Now, if you picked the wrong point, if you divided this one, and you didn't get that answer, which you wouldn't, then you know it's just going to be the other angle. Okay, so hopefully that helps.